today's video is going to be called Bullshit with the Random Onion.
Yeah.
Or as we're going to put it so the algorithm doesn't fuck with us, BS with the Random Onion.
Yeah.
And our first topic today, Netflix is officially rebooting the Chronicles of Narnia with Barbie director Greta Gerwig. And she's going to write and direct at least 2 films in the franchise. What do you think about this?
First of all, they're jumping straight into it's going to be a franchise. So they already know there's going to be multiple movies. So they obviously want to create it. They're not thinking ahead, just like no one else does.
Yes.
Also, I don't know if I've never seen the original Narnia movie.
The first one's good.
Yeah.
I think.
Was there multiples?
There were like 4 or 5.
Was there?
Yeah, there was The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Prince Caspian, Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and I think that may have been the last one, so there may have been 3. I don't know. Correct us if we're wrong.
Yeah.
But if you do, I'm going to forcefully make you subscribe to our feed finder. And we were just talking about this before we started, and that is a very Christian series, and it's being adapted by Netflix. How do you think that's going to turn out?
Oh, God. Oh, that's something I want to talk about. Netflix. Did you watch, so I'm a pretty big fan of One Piece. Did you watch the trailer?
I refuse to watch the trailer.
You need to watch the trailer. I was literally in the other room, and after I got home from work when I saw the trailer, and my wife yelled from the other room, "What is happening?" I was making so many noises. I was just like, "Oh no! Oh no! You can't do that."
Yeah, I've heard poor things about that.
The problem is, it doesn't need to be a live-action series. There's no reason for One Piece to be live. In fact, One Piece is such a fucking cartoon that there's no reason for it not to be a full series.
It was made to be a cartoon.
Yeah, it started as a manga. It's a manga. And then there's an anime. The anime is ridiculously long. The manga is ridiculously long.
And you already have the lead actor of the Netflix series saying that he doesn't want this to be ridiculously long.
Which you can't do that with Oda's work. Ichiro Oda very specifically does everything very long. He is the long man.
I wish I was a long man, but no, I'm 5'4".
Well, you could be like Luffy, where I think it's so do you know anything about One Piece? I know
Stretchy Pirate.
Yes, he is a stretchy pirate. So Luffy eats the gum fruit, and the gum fruit gives him the power of rubber. Basically, it turns his body into rubber. And he can stretch any part of his body. I think it's Oda specifically said it's like 50 gum-gums. Whatever the fuck that means. And yes, he can stretch every piece of his body. Up to 50 gum-gums.
Oh, more news. Captain America Brave New World has currently wrapped filming.
Who's Captain America now? I always forget.
The Falcon.
Oh. Why wasn't it Bucky?
You know, that's always been a weird thing with me because in the first 3 Captain America movies, they tease it being Bucky next.
Yeah.
In every single movie, and it just doesn't happen. I mean, we know why they did it, but I'm not going to say it.
Yeah.
But it's still... I am interested to see how this movie does, though, because I do like Harrison Ford. I think he's an interesting choice for Thunderbolt Ross. And I like Anthony Mackie as an actor. That being said, I don't know who anyone else is in this movie, and I don't like them already. Oh, Betty Ross is coming back. Liv Tyler.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he might be interesting.
Let's see.
It's weird, though. Bucky's not even going to be in this movie.
Why?
He's not on the... Yeah.
Pivotal character.
Yeah, that's...
For Captain America.
Interesting. I'm sure that's old news to a lot of people, though.
You know, I actually have not watched Falcon and Winter Soldier. I damn near refuse to, unless I have to.
So, Indiana Jones is set to lose $600 million.
I can see that.
It's really crazy, though, because I haven't seen the movie yet.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you probably haven't seen the movie yet. We are adults. We have jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, that being said, though, everyone kind of, I think, knows what happens in this movie. I hear there is a lot of issues with the main female protagonist in this. I think her name is like Helena something.
Yeah. I don't know. Is it just the same thing that they always do, where they just make a character and she's just 100% perfect and amazing, and the only thing that holds her back is that she doesn't believe in herself enough?
That's what I'm hearing. I'm also hearing that they changed the ending because she was originally going to replace him. But it's interesting, though, to think about this. Star Wars, they replaced the male protagonist with a brunette female. Willow, they replaced the male protagonist with a brunette female. Now, Indiana Jones, they wanted to replace the protagonist with a brunette female. What is Kathleen Kennedy, the person who runs the company that owns the rights to all of these movies?
Well, we're not telling you to make any connections there, but you should probably make some connections.
Can you say self-insert?
Yeah. Mary Sue?
I mean, I like inserting myself into situations all the time because I'm weird like that, but come on now. It screams massive ego to me, and all these movies, it's so funny to think about because I hear Indiana Jones is doing really, really bad. I'm hearing that Secret Invasion is horrible, and it is doing really bad.
I didn't know that was out until I started seeing videos pop up about people talking about how bad it was.
What is going on at Disney right now? They are just...
Okay, so Disney has completely lost their fucking minds on everything.
Clearly.
Because right now, this is something that would have been insane to say even like 5 to 7 years ago, that Illumination is putting out better stuff than Disney. DreamWorks is putting out better stuff than Disney.
Yeah, because Puss in Boots was awesome.
Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, that very much might be in my top 5 favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, no, I thought it was really, really good. But, I mean, it's weird, though, because I feel like superhero movies are dying. And not necessarily that because people don't want to see superhero movies anymore, but it's just that they've gotten to the point where either there's something controversial about them, and it turns a lot of people off because they're only doing that to, deflect all the bad writing by saying that you're this or you're that if you don't like this movie.
Yes.
And they're inserting too much politics into it, I think. And I think that's turning a lot of people off. But I think that's also what's turning a lot of people off into these other big franchises as well. Because you see stuff like Top Gun Maverick did very well at the box office.
Yes, it did.
John Wick 4 did very well at the box office. I feel like this Mission Impossible movie that's about to come out is probably going to do very well at the box office.
Yeah.
Because there's no politics in them. They're just trying to make fun, good product.
That's the important part. You just need to make a good product.
Yeah. People don't go to the movies to have reality shoved down their throat. They go to the movies for escapism.
The thing about it is reality can be very interesting in movies, but the problem is reality doesn't work if your reality is different from other people's.
Right.
It's like it's this weird world that we live in nowadays where reality can be so different to so many different people. Just make good shit. That's all you really got to do. Like Puss in Boots: The Last Wish was I could see that movie as being a huge risk to DreamWorks when they were making it. They were putting out another Puss in Boots movie, and basically they're making a Shrek 5, apparently. I didn't know about that until just the other day.
I wonder if they're going to use the same animation style that they did in The Last Wish.
I hope they do, because that animation style was amazing.
It's very interesting.
And Puss in Boots is widely regarded as like a very awesome thing. Everyone fucking loves it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I will say this. They set some themes to that movie, and they actually stick with these themes the entire movie, too. It's like, because Puss in Boots is having what basically equivalents to a midlife crisis the entire movie. Because he knows he's on his last life, and he's about to...
Yeah.
And they stick with that, like him trying to learn to accept that the entire movie. It's a really well-told story.
Let's see. I was just curious about it since we were talking about it. I wanted to see how much Little Mermaid has made since it's been out. Worldwide, it has made, let's see, $526 million. That is worldwide. Domestic, it's made 283. Yeah, and I know they don't actually release the real numbers for the budget because a lot of the budgets are always just estimations. The budget for Little Mermaid was estimated at $250 million, and they've only made $526 million worldwide.
They haven't even doubled their budget, and that doesn't include marketing either.
No, that's a huge problem because of how much money that they don't make off of that. They're losing so much money making these movies that have no fucking soul, no nothing to them. Like Pixar just put out Elemental. I have not heard a single person say they really want to go see that movie.
Oh, I have, but they're just like family members. Oh, hey, Disney put out a new movie, and we try to tell them it's probably not going to be very good. My wife actually went and saw it on a field trip with some of the kids at the daycare that she works at, and she was like, "It was a cute movie, but it was predictable.
Yeah,
it was super predictable. You see everything coming." I'm not surprised.
No. I mean, everything, all of the promotion behind Elemental has been about the fact that they didn't know if they could make it because the way they wanted to make it look. That's where everything was put into making it look the way it does, and not into the actual story behind it. I wanted to say one more thing. We are going to be talking about Jaws, and I wanted to talk about the budget versus how much they actually made on that movie because it's insane.
It was the first summer blockbuster ever.
Yeah, I don't think this is off of the Wikipedia article directly. So I don't think this is adjusted for inflation. The budget of Jaws was $9 million, and the box office worldwide was $476 million. If you ever wonder why they made so many Jaws movies, that is why.
Yeah, and we'll be going over that during our Shark Week Spectacular.
Yeah.
So, on a completely different subject, something else to talk about. Did you ever watch The Witcher on Netflix?
I've seen season 1 and 2. I heard that season 3 is already out now.
I didn't even know it was coming out until they started talking shit about it. What was your initial reaction whenever they said they were replacing Henry Cavill as Geralt?
Well, I guess I could have a couple of reactions because I can say that I'm not surprised because I've known about a lot of the stuff behind the scenes where Henry Cavill is actually a giant dork.
Yeah,
and he loves the Witcher series, the games and the books. I can't remember what season it's in, but there's a scene where Roach, his horse, is dying, and he fought to make sure that because the writers wanted to have that end on a joke. They wanted to joke about it right after his horse dies. Henry Cavill fought to make sure that there was no joke after Roach dies because Roach is a pivotal part of Geralt. So the fact that they wanted to change so much about the series, it doesn't surprise me that Henry Cavill wanted to leave.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me that they lost him. And it sucks because he makes a really freaking good Geralt.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I was pleasantly surprised about when that series first came out because, I've seen, just looking at the Witcher games alone, with Geralt with, the beard and everything, Henry Cavill, he didn't seem like he looked the part to me originally. But then I watched the series and I was like, He does a really good job.
Yeah.
In the fight scene in season 1, that first sword fight he has with all those people in that town square is awesome.
Yeah. Have you ever played the games?
I have not played the games.
I've played a little tiny bit of Witcher 2, and I played the absolute shit out of Witcher 3.
Yeah.
So, that fight scene is not exactly a surprising thing, because that's, the kind of shit that would happen in the game.
Yeah.
Fun fact about the game, if you've never played it, is that your hair and beard actually grow, so you have to regularly get it cut if you want to keep it short.
That's awesome. That's really cool. But yeah, no, I remember hearing that he was leaving, and because my dad told me.
Yeah.
Because my dad's a huge nerd too. Sorry, Dad. He was like, yeah, Henry Cavill's leaving. I'm like, this has to be a joke. That was my first thought. This has to be a joke. And he's like, yeah, he's being replaced by Liam Hemsworth. Has to be a joke, right?
Yeah.
No, wasn't a joke.
I didn't know Liam Hemsworth was a person.
He was in, the first thing I ever saw him in was The Expendables 2, where John-Claude Van Damme kicks a knife into his heart.
Reminds me of the Mulan movie.
Yeah. It's like, oh.
She kicks an arrow into the bad guy's chest. That's how the bad guy dies.
Then the live action one?
Yes.
I'm so glad I haven't seen this movie.
Yes, that's, for anyone who hasn't seen it, that is how Mulan defeats the main bad guy in the live action movie. She literally kicks an arrow into his chest. The Emperor holds an arrow and throws it, looks at her, and they do this little nod thing, and he throws it up in the air, and she does a big spinny flip and kicks it, and it lands in his chest.
I'm not going to lie. That's pretty stupid.
It's not even the first time she kicks something in the movie. She kicks a spear at some point earlier in the movie, too.
Anything else? Oh, yeah, going back to The Witcher. Would you be surprised if The Witcher fails, this weekend? Just doesn't do good? Because they only released the first half of the season.
I honestly would not be surprised, because I remember the second half of season 2 was so... It just lost the plot of whatever the fuck they were trying to do.
Yeah.
Because it's the fun thing is I was okay with the first season of The Witcher. It was there were some bits that were just kind of fucking strange and they didn't really work. But for the most part, it was okay, I can it's fine. It's just whatever. But in the second season, the first episode is really good. It actually, if you've ever read the books, it's actually that the entire first episode is taken from a massive chunk of one of the books, and they do things a little different because Ciri is with him in the show, where Ciri's not with him in the book. But the plot works out almost the same, and it's very much the way what the Witcher's supposed to be. The Witcher is a monster hunter. That is what a Witcher is, a monster hunter.
Right.
And that was the only time that he hunted monsters in that entire season, if I remember correctly.
You're talking about season 2, right?
Yeah, season 2.
Okay.
Yeah, even in season 1, he does a little bit of monster hunting, but it's just.
See, I'm weird. I liked some of the stuff in season 2, but I felt like they focused a lot on the wrong characters, because you always want more Henry Cavill as Geralt.
Yeah,
and it didn't seem like
the main character.
He seemed like he was in that series in the second season for less than half of it.
Yeah. Because they wanted you to focus on Ciri and what's her face? I can always remember her name very well until I have to remember her name. Yennefer, that's her name.
Yennefer.
They wanted you to focus on those two.
That makes sense. I really liked the old Witcher. I always forget his name. Vesemir.
Vesemir, yes.
There we go.
I tried to type in the Witcher old guy. But it auto-corrected because it didn't like the Witcher.
Vesemir was, I liked him in season 2, and I liked the Witcher. I also liked them doing that big sequence with all the Witchers having a fight together.
So here's the thing. I literally just said that, and I remembered what the plot of the rest of season 2 is, and I just remembered why I didn't like it. It's okay. So yes, they've lost the ability to create Witchers, and so he tries to do it with Ciri. Ciri is not a Witcher. She is trained as a Witcher in the series, but she has not gone under the mutations or any of that stuff.
No.
So the fact that they have her go under the mutations in order to make her into a Witcher is destructive to the plot.
Yeah,
it's the source material has been thrown out.
I said I liked the character, not the plot.
That's the thing. He is nothing like the character in the game.
Really?
Yeah, he is nothing like the character in the game.
Oh.
Vesemir in the game is like this. He's like this dopey, old, super powerful uncle.
So that's why they wanted Mark Hamill to play him. Okay.
Like, seriously. Vesemir's a fucking beast in the game. But he's also this dopey old guy that falls asleep easily. But he's the one who actually does train Geralt. I open up Twitter and I see, would Jon Snow put on cat ears? That's a poll. That's the first thing that popped up.
Who are you following?
Remember the guy that I sent you some of his videos where he makes the joke about how Gendry is like running really fast, and they call him he keeps calling him the fastest man in the world when he's running down the wall. The channel's name is Glidus.
Oh, okay.
That was a tweet from him.
The ones with the piss takes and
the
bliss takes.
Piss take and bliss take.
Yeah. Have you seen anything about Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon?
No.
It was originally supposed to be a Star Wars movie that he wanted to direct, but Disney said no. So he took it to Netflix and just turned it into its own thing. Yeah.
Okay.
I've been hearing some interesting things about it. It's got a decent cast. You know that girl who played the mummy in the Tom Cruise Mummy?
Oh, yeah.
She's like supposed to be the main character. Charlie Hunnam from Pacific Rim is supposed to be in it. Okay. Digimon Honosu is going to be in it. I don't know if you know who he is.
We recently talked about him in the Guardians videos that we put out.
Yes.
I remember you saying his name.
Yeah.
I don't remember who he is, but I remember you saying his name.
He's a good actor. He's in it as well. And there's a couple other people in it that I don't honestly remember their names. But yeah, no, and it's a Zack Snyder movie. So it's bound to be visually striking at the very least. That being said, I really do wonder if it's going to end up being good or not, because there are a lot of Zack Snyder movies that they look pretty, but the plot is just not there.
No. Let's see.
Like Army of the Dead, for example.
I've never seen that. I don't know if we have to watch it for something.
It's fun. It's one of my. I really enjoy it as like a zombie movie, just turn your brain off, fun movie.
See,
that being said, it's not going to grade well.
I can't just turn my brain off.
Yeah.
There's so many times that I wish I could just turn my brain off, but I can't all the time.
But I mean, it's like you still have fun during dumb movies, though.
Oh yeah. Like some of my favorite movies are dumb, but I guess the way I describe it is my favorite kind of comedy or / dumb is I like it when it's dumb but has to be told smart. That's why I love Monty Python, because it's incredibly stupid, but you have to be smart to come up with those jokes.
Dune is like one of the last sci-fi franchises I think that's got potential to just be awesome.
It's one of I'm scared. I'm scared for everything that I like.
Did you watch the first Dune movie, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. That's
going to grade very well. That cinematography wise, that movie is fucking beautiful. I've been sending people that Donald Trump soundbite where they do the thing where it's like Kamala Harris is like, please don't come, and then it cuts to Donald Trump going, I'm gonna come.
I'm gonna come.
I've been sending people just to Donald Trump going, I'm gonna come, and people are like, what are you doing? And I don't even warn them when I do it. I just send it.
It's a perfect soundbite.
What did you think about The Rock possibly being cast as Kratos for a brief second?
No. Seriously, what the fuck is his name? The guy who actually plays Kratos.
Christopher Judge.
Christopher Judge is Kratos. If you've ever seen a picture of him, he's massive, so he's got the muscle structure to be a god. And also, he does all the motion capture and the voice acting for Kratos.
Yeah, he was also in Stargate.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen Stargate?
Maybe I have. No, I'm getting it mixed up with something else, am I? Stargate I have seen, but it's been a very, very long time.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen it. I recently was going to try to rewatch it, but I got distracted with stuff, and I also was depressed. So, yeah.
My dad was obsessed with Stargate. I remember because he would have it on all the time. There were two movies that my dad was obsessed with, was Stargate and Independence Day.
Oh, I was talking about Stargate the series.
Oh, I haven't seen the series.
The series is better than the movie.
I've seen the movie.
It's weird because the series, they recast like most of the characters. The movie had James Spader and I think Kurt Russell is the main two guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't ask me who was in the series. All I remember is Amanda Tapping.
No, The Rock, honestly, I don't even like The Rock's acting.
I don't
He
even
just plays
like
the same
The Rock
character.
anymore.
Yeah.
He used to be an awesome actor, but now it's just
He just does the same thing in every movie.
he's got too big of an ego. Him, Jason Statham, and Vin Diesel, and everyone knows this. They have that clause in their contract where they can't lose a fight.
Yeah.
That irritates the shit out of me. How are you supposed to develop characters if they're not allowed to suffer? Hashtag Captain Marvel.
I mean, you say that, but technically, Kratos never loses a fight.
Yeah, but Kratos also has like a lot of personal growth that happens.
Yes, well,
and he also dies several times throughout that series.
it's kind of true. He does die a lot.
Yeah,
but he does. You can't kill Kratos. He goes to hell and he drags himself back out.
Yeah.
It's weird because I've definitely played more video games than I've watched movies. I played all the original series of God of War. I didn't like it all that much until I played God of War 2017 or 18.
Yeah.
God of War 4, basically.
That's a common thing with a lot of people that I've seen recently. But I feel like that has a lot to do with it being on the older console, and Kratos was kind of hot-headed in the original games.
That is an understatement.
Yeah.
So, if you haven't played the games, you literally, at one point, you fight, it's not Hermes, Helio, the god of sun in Greek mythology. You literally fight him for like 2 seconds, and you rip his head off and use it as a flashlight for the rest of the game.
Nice.
Kratos is not The Rock. The Rock needs to take a break.
Yeah.
There was one other thing that I saw that I thought The Rock would be the perfect person for. It was Johnny Bravo.
Yeah.
Johnny Bravo, absolutely.
I could see it.
That's the movie that The Rock should do next. They should do a live action Johnny Bravo. I'm sure that would go well over in today's world.
You know, something interesting about The Rock is I remember when Doom came out, the movie that The Rock was supposed to be in, and they announced The Rock was going to be in it, and everyone was like, "Oh, The Rock's playing Doom guy? Interesting."
No.
The Rock wasn't Doom guy. If anything, Carl Urban was Doom guy.
Yeah. No, The Rock played Sarge, I think.
Yeah. The Rock ended up being the main bad guy at the end of that movie.
Yeah.
He needs to play more bad guys.
I'm pretty sure the leader in Doom, the leader does end up becoming the bad guy in the story.
Yeah, I really do. I think he should play more bad guys.
Yeah.
And just give it a try, you know?
Bad guys are fun.
Yeah, a good bad guy can just make or break your movie, too.
Absolutely.
Like, and I know we went on and on about how Guardians of the Galaxy, that, you know, the bad guys aren't that great in any of those movies, except for Ego. Ego's all right.
Ego's all right, but even Ego, I kind of...
Yeah.
I don't watch that movie for Ego.
But a good villain, like a great villain, can make your movie 1,000 times better.
Yeah.
Like, just look at The Dark Knight. Everyone loves the Joker in that movie.
Everyone loves the Joker. I love that. I love that movie too, even though it is a little bit tismy in a few bits.
Yeah, that movie's kind of long to me.
Yeah.
What's another really, really good one? To me, I like the just relentlessness of the T-1000 in Terminator 2.
Yeah.
That to me is very well done. That's just a good movie. That's one of the best sequels of all time.
Yeah. I would, honestly, this irritates me. I freaking typed in good villain, and the first picture that shows up is fucking Killmonger from Black Panther.
No.
That is not a good villain. I don't know why people like him so much. He literally talks about murdering people and murdering families. He wants to kill their kids.
Oh, Scar in The Lion King.
Scar is a good villain. I do like Scar a lot.
Very well played. Very charismatic. Also, Hades in the original Hercules.
That is a really good. That's two like Disney era freaking awesome villains.
Renaissance villains.
We talked about it earlier. Puss in Boots has 3 insanely good villains in Goldilocks and the Three Bears. That, I mean, they're technically anti-heroes, not really villains.
Right.
And then Jack Horner, Big Jack Horner.
Yeah.
He's only on screen. I've watched a video that's just all of his scenes. He's on screen for like 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And that entire 2 minutes and 30 seconds, he steals the entire show. I freaking love Big Jack Horner.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the wolf.
And everybody loves the
The
wolf.
wolf. That is the best personification of death that has ever been put to film.
Until, Out of the Darkness, Operation Lazarus becomes a movie. No, I agree. Like, with the wolf as a villain, he's one of the best villains I've ever seen done in a movie. I do like that, he exists more as a way to kind of teach Puss in Boots a lesson.
And it's true, but he also he's not trying to teach Puss.
Yeah, he's not trying to, but that's
he gets
what
mad.
he does.
He gets irritated at the end when Puss learns the lesson.
Yeah.
It's like, damn it, now I can't kill you.
But I like it, That's like...
It's good. It's subversive.
That's
a good subversive.
It says a lot about his character in particular, It's like...
Yeah.
He's got kind of a code that he abides by as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's some great villains to talk about that really are what make a story. Is one of the biggest ones, Darth Vader.
Oh, yes. That's probably... I think we were talking about this earlier, not in this video, but whenever I first got here. Darth Vader is like the most famous villain of all time.
Absolutely.
He's very, very well done.
He's the perfect combination of hyper competent, but also it's what they were trying to do with fucking Kylo Ren and the sequels.
Yeah,
and they just failed completely because they didn't have any idea what that actually meant.
That fallen hero tragedy feel to it. Yeah, no, it's very well done, and I miss George Lucas. As a writer for Star Wars. Maybe not necessarily with a lot of the prequels writing, but the original trilogy, George Lucas
with constraints is really good.
Yeah,
because that's what the original trilogy was. Like A New Hope was George Lucas just by himself, and then Empire Strikes Back, which is widely regarded as the best of the Star Wars movies.
Right.
He basically was constrained. There were other writers that were helping him make that movie, and then he had more control over basically everything else. And that's why there were teddy bears in not the Last Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Darth Vader. What do you think about Loki as a villain?
Loki. I guess I could say about what I liked him in as a villain. The first Thor movie was surprisingly okay with him as a villain. I really liked the first Avengers movie. That's peak Loki, as far as I'm concerned. That is absolutely peak Loki.
Because Thor 2 is kind of a dud. I like him in Ragnarok, but he's not a villain in Ragnarok.
I can't remember Thor 2. I can't.
That makes sense. That movie's not very good.
I watch it, and within a few minutes after the movie ends, it just starts evacuating my brain. It's just gone.
That's going to be a fun one to grade. But yeah, no, I agree with that sentiment, though. I like Loki in the Avengers. I don't think I'm as big a fan as him in Thor 1 because he's kind of snooty to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's supposed to be his thing, so I get it.
Well, in that one, for most of the movie, or not for most of the movie, but at the beginning of the movie, he thinks he's an Asgardian, but he finds out he's not.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. He's an ice giant. Another great villain I want to bring up is Joffrey Baratheon.
Yeah, that's an example of people love him because they hate him.
Yes.
And that's a good example of a very well written villain. Now, who do you think was worse, him or Ramsay Bolton?
Now, when you say worse, which way of worse? Worse is in
was hated more.
Who do you think was hated more? I'd
still say.
I would say
Joffrey.
Joffrey. I like Joffrey more than I like Ramsay. I love to hate Joffrey, and I just don't like Ramsay.
So, with me, I don't like Joffrey, but Joffrey was very well written as far as he's a little sociopath, and you love to hate him.
Yeah.
Ramsay comes across as like an edgy 14-year-old.
Yes, he definitely does. He comes across. I 100% agree with that. He's like an edgy 14-year-old that is trying to come up with a story that would be really, really gruesome to tell someone. That's what Ramsay Bolton is.
Yeah, and that was also Dan and Dave started getting more started running out of source material and stuff like that. I know the Reek thing happens in the books, but I'm talking about season 6 and onward.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like Joffrey was kind of this underlying. I mean, the thing about it is Joffrey's actually technically not a villain. He's just kind of an antagonist, of an antagonist in the story. Like he doesn't actually. Well, he makes one of the biggest decisions that causes the rest of the story to happen.
Right.
At the end of season 1 or book 1, but past that, he's just kind of a kid that's just flailing around.
Now, isn't Joffrey Baratheon the one who sent the assassin to kill what's his name? Bran in the books.
It's not 100%. I know later in the book, Jaime suspects that Joffrey did it, but it's never been 100% confirmed as far as I know.
I know in the show it was Littlefinger.
Yeah.
But in the books, I've heard that it was, and I haven't finished the books yet, so I'm not like 100%. Littlefinger? Yeah, in the show it's Littlefinger because it was Littlefinger's dagger, and he was trying to set everything up.
Oh, no, yeah. Well, no. Okay, I know. I see what you're talking. I got confused there for a second.
Yeah, I think in the books, from what I've heard, and like you said, he was just expecting it. I think Joffrey was maybe trying to impress his dad.
Yeah, I don't think he was trying to impress his dad. I think the logic they come through with is Joffrey's just a little sociopath, and he saw that Bran had been broken, and he thought that
he was putting him out of his misery.
He was just putting him out
I've heard that one too.
That's kind of that's the way I would think about it with that. But like I said, it's just never been 100%. The
characters are so like complex in the books. It's crazy.
Because that's the thing. It's like it makes sense for it to be Joffrey to be the one that sent the cat's paw, because number one, he sends him with a Valyrian steel dagger, which is a very rare thing.
Yes.
And it's from the king's stash of weapons. So it makes sense that Joffrey would be stupid enough to do something like that. I don't think it's Littlefinger at all. Littlefinger tries to use it as leverage, but the trick that Littlefinger pulls is that he tells them that Tyrion won the dagger from him, and then the dagger was used to try and kill Bran. That's how he's trying to turn the Starks against the Lannisters through Tyrion. But Sean, I just call him Sean Bean, but Ned Stark and Catelyn Stark are too pig-headed to realize that Tyrion Lannister would never bet against his family. He'd never bet against Jaime specifically. Yeah. Because that's how Littlefinger said he won the dagger, was that Tyrion would have had to bet against him in a joust. Or an attorney or whatever. I know a lot about Game of Thrones.
Yeah, no.
I fucking love the Game of Thrones.
The Game of Thrones series, it's like the first few seasons are so fascinating to me. And it's one of those things, I can remember hearing about it when I was younger and thinking like, this doesn't seem like something I could get into, you know? Because I was big into like Marvel and superheroes and stuff like that. I wasn't real big into fantasy. Yeah. And then I watched a couple episodes of season 6 with my dad, and like, and season 6 isn't even like peak Game of Thrones.
No, season 6 is kind of poopy.
And I was like, I could get into this maybe if I watch a little bit. And then I completely forgot about it, and I was scrolling through because I used to buy everything on my Xbox. And I was scrolling through Xbox, and I found season 1 of Game of Thrones. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna buy the first episode and see if I like it. It's only like $2. Yeah. The next thing I knew, it was the next day. Yeah. And I had watched like the first season and a half.
I can see that.
Yeah. It was that good.
Yeah. So I had a slightly different introduction to Game of Thrones. So the way I got into it was, I think I got into it right before season 5 came out. I had heard online about Game of Thrones a million times, but I never bothered to do anything with it. I was just like, it could be cool. So eventually I'd heard enough about it, and I knew a new season was coming out. I decided I wanted to read the first book first. So I got it on Audible, and I listened to the first book. And by the end of that first book, I was already completely infatuated with the series. So I watched the first season. So I watched. That's actually how I got through it. Is I did I read the book first, and then I watched the season. Then I read the book, and then I watched the season, so on and so forth. And it took over a huge chunk of my life.
Yeah, I remember when I was first introduced to Adam. We were working at Pet Boys. It was my first day at Pet Boys, and the boss there was this guy who thinks he's an IRA assassin. Walked up to me and told me that he was like, "So whatever you do not bring up Game of Thrones around Adam." And I was like, "Why?" And he was like, "Just don't do it. I am tired of listening to it." And I was like, "Cool, watch this." And it was the first thing I walked up to him and was like, "Hey, so what'd you think about Game of Thrones?"
And the rest is history.
Yeah. Now we're running a podcast.
Yeah. That was right after.
Right after season.
That was right after season 8.
Yeah.
And that's the peak of me being angry about Game of Thrones. I'm still angry. Every now and then I have to go back and hate watch. I have to watch videos where they fucking tear it apart.
Yeah, and it's so funny though, because it's like that was what we talked about at work.
Yeah.
Was Game of Thrones and Star Wars. And you guys have already heard at least one of our conversations on Star Wars.
Yeah. Any other villains or anything you'd want to talk about?
I mean, you can't talk about villains without at least mentioning Thanos.
Thanos in Infinity War, it was awesome. I freaking loved him.
And then in Endgame, it's kind of, I mean, it's a different Thanos, so.
I have such a weird relationship with Endgame because we went and saw it twice when it first came out, because we saw it. It was stupid. The first time we actually watched it was on a smaller screen. It was not like the big super duper screen that they have at the movie theaters and so on and so forth, the IMAX or whatever. And I loved it so much I wanted to see it again on the bigger screen. So within a few days we went and saw it again.
I did the same thing.
On the big screen. And I loved it back then, and I kind of hate it now. It's the perfect it's the perfect split between a subjective and an objective thought process on the movie. Because subjectively, Endgame and Thanos and all that it was awesome. I loved it at the time. But then when you stop and think about everything that was destroyed, it's like no, actually, it's kind of shit. It's kind of awful.
Yeah, I like the movie. I do. I don't think it's as good as Infinity War, but there's some moments in it that are top tier MCU, Captain America with the hammer.
Oh yeah, shit like that. That's the best fucking payoff ever.
Yeah, no.
Both times we went and saw the movie, the theater erupted when he gets the hammer.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. That's one of my top 3 moments in the MCU ever.
Yeah.
The other two being Thor's arrival in Wakanda, and then that first time you get the team shot of the Avengers together in the first Avengers movie. Mm-hmm. Those are both my top 3 moments in the Thor arrival in Wakanda. Though that scene gives me goosebumps every time I watch it.
Yeah. And it's so sad as to how much they destroyed him
as a character in Endgame. Yeah, it's going to be interesting grading Endgame because I don't think with me it's going to do horribly. I think it's going to be probably an 80 or something, which, it's supposed to be the end all be all movie.
Yeah.
It's just not as good as Infinity War. It's
not.
Or Civil War.
It's the problem with Endgame that I would say is that they created the situation in Infinity War, but then they decided that they didn't want the situation to exist, so they had to reverse it in Endgame. So I almost feel like Endgame would have been better if they potentially would have failed again, and they just had to live with half the universe being deleted.
I mean, from the comics they're not going to do that.
But I think it would have been better if they had left half the universe deleted.
I don't know about leaving half the universe deleted. I feel like that final battle, they should have killed a lot more of the main characters.
Yeah. The only ones that actually die are
Iron Man and Black Widow in that whole movie.
And Gamora. Well, Gamora died in
Endgame.
But as far as if I think about it as one big long movie, those are the only 3 characters that die.
Yeah, well, and Vision.
Oh yeah, Vision.
But Vision was brought back in WandaVision.
Vision comes back.
And I hate the Disney Plus shows. The more I think about them, the more I just I hate them. I hate them all.
come to the dark side.
And it's weird though, because like I liked WandaVision and Loki at first, but like the more I think about it, the more I'm like, we don't need these. We don't need these at all. If you want to make something about these characters, make them movies, because Disney Plus is probably a big reason. That and the political bullshit that they keep putting into it is probably a big reason why the MCU is starting to fall apart.
Yeah, there's a lot more to talk about, but we definitely
talked a lot. Well, anyways, this has been the Random Onion BS, episode 1.
Bilingual Salazar.
Bilingual, sexy, random onions. That's going to be run by Juan over there on our Feet Finder account.
Yeah. Just make sure to subscribe to our Feet Finder.
Yes.
I think Lord Voldemort might have his feet there. I don't know.
Definitely subscribe, though, to the channel as well. Yeah. We make most of our money on Feet Finder.